Good morning and welcome to Chris & Co, the show looking at what affects business in Kent. With me, Chris Price. We're back after our summer break to talk to Cheryl Causebrook, construction consultant and chair of Constructing Excellence Kent Club, and Ella Brocklebank, chair of Kent Construction Focus Group and business development manager at Woodley Coals. We'll be discussing the need for more housing in Kent and how the construction industry is responding to demand. First, we're looking at the challenges facing the sector, which slipped into recession for the first time in 4 years in the second quarter of the year, according to official figures. Our reporter Harry Peat takes a look at the numbers.
The construction industry in the UK is big business. Sites behind me, like the one at the University of Kent, are multi-million-pound contracts. But after Brexit, is the industry as strong as it could be? Particularly, what's the situation in Kent? Is the roof caving in, or are the foundations as strong as ever? Let's have a look at some of the numbers. In 2015 to 2016, the number of accepted planning applications has gone up. There were almost 1,000 more applications granted in Kent than the year before, so it's clear that people haven't been put off by this summer's political rollercoaster. And what about homes actually being built in the county? Gravesham has seen half the amount of homes built so far this year. But Ashford is a different story. Up to July this year, Ashford has already built more than twice as many homes as the year before. Overall, only half the amount of homes has been built in the county so far. With new figures for the second half of the year due out in November, it will be interesting to see whether this big gap has been bridged.
Well, Ella, Cheryl, thank you very much for coming on the show. As we can see from that report, the lack of available housing means the price of property is going up and it's making it difficult for first-time buyers. It also shows that house building is behind where the government wants it to be. Is it fair to say that that's a factor why the construction industry isn't doing so well, according to the stats?
I think the funding is the issue for housing. More funding needs to go into the housing sector to bring it on, really. It's and the supply of the labour and the supply chain generally. Okay.
What I mean is it, is the I mean we're behind where we want to be when it comes to building the amount of homes. And that is apparently an indication, one of the reasons that the construction sector isn't doing so well. But when it comes to, the people on the ground who are in the sector, do people in the construction industry feel like we are in the midst of a construction recession?
Not at the moment, I don't think. No, everybody is absolutely flat out.
Doesn't feel like that at all. Actually, it's pretty buoyant. Still a difficult industry. We're not kind of out of the woods, and everyone remains a little sceptical. But I'd say everyone's pretty busy, particularly the people we talk to and work with on a day-to-day basis. Pretty busy at the moment.
Sure. Is Kent doing better or worse than other areas of the UK? I mean, London is obviously a big draw. Does London have a big impact on the way the construction industry fares in Kent?
I think it has an effect on our supply chain with regards to workers. They're going to London. It's easier to get to London now, and they get better money in London. The sector, the market in London is absolutely booming, and I think the trades are in such a short supply anyway in the counties around London that they will travel where the money's better.
Sure. Are there other areas of the country that are maybe faring better when it comes to construction than
I'd say so. Cambridge particularly, we know that market well. That's very buoyant, particularly on the education side, but obviously housing will follow suit in that area. But it's, again, really buoyant market up there, and again London, but as I say, that can have a negative impact on other areas because it attracts really good people, and we need those here in Kent as well.
How much has the vote to leave the European Union had any impact on the way the construction industry is faring at the moment?
I don't think it's had any effect on the labour force in any way at the moment. I think maybe future work would possibly be a little bit nervous about going forward because of not knowing. But I don't think it's had an effect, certainly not in the short term since June.
It's actually picked up again, I think. Things stalled a little bit pre decision actually, and since that I think everyone's kind of picked themselves up, dusted themselves off and thought, well actually we just got to get on with things until we know it could take quite some time to see any sort of impact as a result of Brexit. So I think everyone's just kind of business as usual and pushing on, and developers included in that.
I mean, there were some signs that post-Brexit that a few maybe big deals stalled, and there was certainly, as you say, in the lead up some hesitancy. Do you think that, say, this time next year, the construction industry will be moving on, hesitancy will be gone, or do you think that we're still going to?
I think there'll be more certainty in what's going to happen, certainly for Britain anyway. I don't think it'll affect the industry so greatly. It's more about the funding side of things rather than the actual industry, really, because schemes are still ongoing.
So what does the construction industry need then to support the sector? What are you guys crying out for to
more
keep
people, definitely.
Skills,
trades, professions, everything really. We need more funding into educating people and trying to get them into the sector.
There's a lot of great work being done at the moment with apprenticeships, encouraging young people into the industry, but we're kind of on the back foot really. It took a dive, sort of 2008, a lot of people understandably would avoid the industry or encouraging their children to pursue construction as a career. So it's really trying to encourage people to actually now consider it. We're always going to need construction, we always need houses, schools, everything. So actually, you know, we really need to push it now and get good people into the industry, because we are really feeling the effect of that at the moment.
It's a continuous sector. Everybody, even if you're not building anything, you're still maintaining properties, and you're still working in that maintenance side of things. So, you know, it needs all trades and all professions as well. And I kind of find going into schools that maybe they're looking at the less academic people to go into construction, whereby we need professionals as well, architects, engineers, quantity surveyors. All of those professions are desperately needed. And the trades are just ageing now. You know, you could go on site and the average age of a bricklayer is in his late 50s. There's no new blood coming into the industry.
Okay, all right, thanks very much for your views on that. Moving on now, we're looking at the impact of the shortage of housing. The amount of homes being built is well short of the numbers needed, which is having a dramatic effect on prices. Evangeline Dryden takes a look at what the shortage means for people in Kent.
Here's the latest info we've got. In 2014, Kent needed more than 10,000 new homes, yet only 3,730 of these were actually built, leaving a shortage of more than 6,000. But these numbers are even higher in Medway alone, where an extra 1,233 homes needed to be built. Since those figures were released, new housing has been built. Behind me is a new development in Medway, which is due to be completed next year. The available flats are up for sale for between $255,000 and $290,000. However, the average annual wage in Medway is just over £27,000 a year, making it hard to afford homes and flats of these prices. We spoke to a Gillingham estate agent who explains why this is happening.
From the people who is looking to move out of London and commute to further distance so they can afford the houses they like, on that basis what we actually see, they do put offers over asking price, and probably last 10 houses we sold, 9 out of that 10 we have actually sold over asking price. But if you look at from the people who's actually looking to move away from home and start from their first property, and who actually works in the region and looking to move somewhere in the region, they do feel that they're stressed about the prices.
So, higher prices are making it difficult for people to buy homes. In Kent, Gravesham has seen the highest increase in prices and Dover has seen the lowest. But overall, Kent saw a 12.9% increase, with houses rising from around £240,000 to £270,000 in just a year. This is Evangeline Dryden for KMTV.
Ella, Cheryl, so from that report we can see the lack of availability of property is making prices go up. We're also seeing developers are buying property to rent them, which is also putting prices up. Is it in house builders' interests to increase the supply when property prices are so high?
Developers are going to build houses if they can make money out of it, really. The houses that are needed to be built are more social rented houses rather than homes for sale. And that's where you saw the boom over the last few years, because the housing grants were in a 2011-2015 cycle, and now the housing associations are moving into a 2015-2018 cycle. And there was a massive, at the end of 14-15, houses being completed, and I think that it'll be the same again at the end of 17-18 to get those houses so that they get their funding. So funding is a critical issue with the social sector, and house developers will build houses to make money, basically.
Ultimately, they're there to build to make money, as we know, but they're squeezed, you know, in terms of their profitability. We're seeing inflation throughout the industry, and it's from right down into the supply chain, and the house builders or main contractors are being squeezed in terms of what the money they can make on schemes. So actually it's a very difficult, so hence why further down the line you are going to see an increase in the prices to buy, and it's not just a case of making lots of money, it's just everything has seen a price increase throughout the industry as a whole.
So the rise in house prices is not actually benefiting everyone within the construction industry?
No, definitely not. From the main contractors, the subcontractors are managing to up their prices, but main contractors are generally not. And one of the biggest issues is their cash flow, and these are the things that have taken a couple of local contractors out in the last couple of years. So it's not necessarily going down the chain, the profit that's being made out of building houses.
Prices are very tight. We're looking to sort of make savings for clients wherever you can, without compromising on quality, and without just having then a ream of bog standard sort of houses or developments, really. So it's a very difficult position to be in, really. So it's it's not as kind of clear cut as it might seem.
One of the issues a lot of people who are building houses complain about is NIMBYism, perhaps. Mm-hmm. How much of that is is that a problem in the county?
I would say in different areas it probably is, but you can see from the report there that the planning has risen. So the planning is getting better, and I think now people know what the planners want. They work towards that as well. You'll have different areas. I'm sure West Kent, Sevenoaks, Tunbridge Wells would have a lot more NIMBYism than Dover, maybe. And you can see that from the house prices as well. You know, there's less of an increase in Dover as there is in the West Kent.
I'd say it's a lot to do about communication as well. If you make people understand why we need the development, actually what it's going to look like, what it's going to feel like, that it's going to benefit them with a better education as a result of perhaps increased housing, the schools, etc. will follow. It might be a case of, well, not so much go and build elsewhere. Okay, yeah, let's welcome that here and appreciate we've got to keep green space and design has got to be to a set standard. But I think it's just a case of communicating rather than people seeing development as a negative thing straight away. And
likewise, are different local councils, different planning authorities favoured compared to others within Kent? Is there a mismatch when it comes to, you know, would certain developers think, well, I'm much more likely to get my scheme through with this council as opposed to another, and does that affect it?
I don't think the local authorities make much of a difference. I think it's the areas where they're being built. The houses prices in Dover and East Kent are a lot less, and so there's less money to be made by developers. Those areas are tending to be the housing associations and social renting that's sort of over that way, and that's the bigger developments from that side, really. And
very quickly, I can't let the show go by. I'm talking about construction to two women on the sofa here, Chris and Co. So is enough being done to encourage more women to enter the industry? Is it becoming a more women-friendly industry?
In a word, not really. I mean, I've been in the industry for 30 years and I don't see very many changes in that time with regard to schools looking to get women into the business. I've been into girls' grammar schools and spoken to girls who just imagine that women work as in an admin sort of sector, but the professions are needed. But we are seeing a lot more women on site. We're seeing a lot more architects and professions, definitely. but not enough's being done in schools really.
Could always be more.
Yeah,
Always
definitely
be
more.
More females in the industry is definitely
I think
a
it's
good
still only
thing.
3% of the industry, so you're missing out on half of the population when girls can do exactly the same thing.
Again, it's just perception, communication, just getting out there and telling young girls, actually, no, this is an industry for you. And like you say, it's not just a trade. You're not just going in to get muddy on site. There's professional qualifications. And I've never come across any form of negativity towards being a female in a male-orientated industry. If anything, you know, it's a positive thing, and times are changing, but definitely more needs to be done, and keep encouraging people all the time.
And you say about girls, I mean, even young lads as well, you know, this is an industry that's a career. You can start off as a trade and you can work your way through to be the managing director of a company. You don't have to go to university to do that. You can start with a trade, be a site supervisor, site manager, project manager, and move through. So it's not about sticking as a bricklayer for the rest of your life. You can do these trades and continue.
Okay, brilliant. Both of you, thank you very much for coming into the show. That's it for the latest edition of Chris & Co, our show looking at the issues affecting business in Kent. You can keep up to date with all the latest news at our website kentbusiness.co.uk, and you can follow us on Twitter at KentBusiness and join our pages on Facebook and LinkedIn. Thanks for watching. Have a very good day. Bye bye.